Jets. Why? Oh, let's open the black book. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to another glorious edition of the Fantasy Black Book. Black. Right here on the Brawl Network. It is me, Joe Pisapia. It is Scott Bogman. It is the Welsh, and it's you. And we're breaking down Week 15 in the NFL. And oh, goodness, what an eventful Week 15 it was, especially if you are a fan of the New York Jets, because you got a W. You got the short-term win and the long-term loss. Nothing is more Jet than that. And I'm going to put this out there to you, boys. This reminds me of a classic holiday moment in the film A Christmas Story, where, you know, the father all year was waiting for that turkey, you know, was building it up in his mind. He's going to get that turkey, and that was what everything was worth, that turkey. And then after the turkey would come turkey a la king and turkey soup and turkey sandwiches, and he would have turkey forever. And then those damn dogs come in, and they destroy the turkey, they destroy the house, and then they leave him with just the drumstick in his hand. I feel like that's Jet fans today. They're standing there like the dad in Christmas Story with the drumstick in his hand, and the only thing you could do is just go out for Chinese. And you can't even do that because now you can't go out anywhere. So, boys, the Jets losing to Trevor Lawrence, but beating the Rams. Welsh, I like to start here today.
Yeah, can I, this might be blasphemous. Is that the one where the kid licks the pole?
Yeah, it is the one with the kid licks the pole. Yes.
I think I've seen it once in my life. It has no impression on my...
I'm the same. I have also only seen it once, and everyone quotes it like it's the best Christmas movie ever.
It's not the best Christmas movie ever, but it is a good Christmas. It is in my pantheon of Christmas movies. I have a thing where every Christmas I got to watch certain movies. And we watched all the movies that we need to watch. There's only one left to watch, and that's Elf, and we're going to watch it tonight. But you have to do the Home Alone. You have to do the It's a Wonderful Life. You got to do Scrooge. You got to do Die Hard. Die Hard is always the night before Christmas. That's always Die Hard.
It's funny you brought up Elf, because I want to do it with my kids too. I feel like there's three types of people, though. There's a Wonderful Life people, which I resonate with 0%.
See, I am an It's a Wonderful Life guy, so okay.
I don't hanging out in retirement homes, Welsh. What do you mean?
No, I don't resonate. I don't resonate at all. I have no connection whatsoever. I've never seen the movie. Would never watch it. It's
wait. You've never seen it? It's one thing to see it and say I don't have a connection with it.
I've seen clips.
No. You got to watch the whole thing.
Okay. I'll get right on that.
Just watch the whole, not right on it, but do yourself a favor. Give it one watch through start to finish. So and if it doesn't move you, that's fair, but you got to give it at least a watch through.
That's person one. Person two is A Christmas Story, who that's their life. Again, it's fine. It has some moments. There's the BB. There's the licking the pole thing. Those stand out to me. Couldn't cite you. You were talking about the turkey thing. Doesn't resonate whatsoever.
Wow.
There's a third person, and this is my flock. Christmas Vacation.
That's my number two.
That's number one for me.
I'm somewhere in between It's a Wonderful Life, the sappy, you know, feel good kind of old timey movie, and then of course I Am Clark Griswold, always trying to make a nice Christmas, and then obviously, you know, like every dad out there's things that go wrong, but yeah, Christmas Vacation. I mean, like I said, that's in the pantheon. There's certain movies you got to watch from December 1st to December 25th. And usually Christmas Vacation is the one I think is the most watchable over and over. Like I can watch that one every day, and it's perfectly fine.
I mean, I got a little
Home Alone too. I mean, I think I'm probably more of a Home Alone person than I am.
When you say Home Alone 2, you mean the word also, or Home Alone 2?
I mean Home Alone also. Yeah, not Home Alone 2. Yeah, Home Alone, the first one. Yes.
Yeah. T-O-O. I agree, but she's a beaut, Clark. She's a beaut. All right, so I decided to get that out there because that's mine.
Well, now that the metaphors have been lost, let's just talk about the game. Because I watched Trevor Lawrence on Saturday look like the best prospect quarterback since Peyton Manning. And you know what? The Jets just crap the bed here. I mean, this is...
it's not over. It's not over. I am massively disappointed because all I wanted for Christmas was an 0-16 season. That's the only thing that I wanted this year. Nothing else is going right. Niners look like garbage. This was a disastrous week for me. You know, in hopeful fantasy football championships. All I wanted was 0-16, and I didn't get it. And I'm as upset as the Jets fans are, but it's not over. You're not packing Trevor Lawrence up in Jacksonville just yet. The Jets are still the Jets. They could still bobble this. It's not completely over. Just currently, It's pretty stupid.
Only two games left. I mean, I'm just saying, like, and look, Jared Goff, I'm so, every week, Boggs, you and I sit on that wagering show, and every week I tell you how much I hate the Rams, and everybody keeps telling me that the Rams are a good football team, and you know me, I'm cursing and yelling about it.
The Rams were playing their best football of the year up until they lost to the Jets.
The Rams. I hate the Rams so much. I hate the Rams. They
were 17.5-point favorites, and they lost.
It's the biggest upset in 25 years. I think so.
It's ridiculous. It's so dumb. It doesn't make any damn sense at all. But that's what 2020 is. It makes no sense. And I guess I'm not that shocked that they lost this game, especially after watching the first half. They just look like the better team. Quinn Williams looked more like Aaron Donald than Aaron Donald did, and Sam Darnold didn't look bad either. So I don't know. And the one thing that we're forgetting here, and I can't imagine that it doesn't happen, but Trevor Lawrence still has another year of eligibility. No. He can decide, I don't want to play for Jacksonville. I don't want to play for the Jets. Let's see what happens next year when we go back to college.
Can he just pretend he doesn't want to do that like he was, Eli Manning and just go wherever he wants? Why can't he just do that?
He could do that too. I mean, there's all kinds.
That's my favorite move. That is like the biggest pimp move ever. Like, I'm the number one pick in the draft. You know what? I don't want to play.
The pimpable player in NFL history, Eli Manning, was the last one to do it.
I know. And you know what? I mean, John Elway did it. And then Eli Manning did it. I mean, of all like the different swagger athletes you could possibly fathom in your life, Eli Manning on one end and the other end of the spectrum is John Elway. But what? I mean, if I was Trevor Lawrence, I don't think I'd want to play for either of these organizations, to be honest with you. But in New York, at least you're like, well, I'm in New York. You know, I mean, Madison Avenue, make a lot of extra money.
Nah, it's where quarterbacks go to die, though. Quarterbacks go to die with the Jets and the Giants right now.
I don't know. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls there. He didn't go to die. He forced his hand. That's
why I said right now. The New York. When's the last good New York Jets quarterback?
Joe Namath.
All right. Well, that's when you only had a Wonderful Life to watch on Christmas.
Kids, Joe Namath's on the screen. He's playing quarterback for the Jets. He's amazing. You gotta see him, Mary. Look at him throw.
I want to kiss you. All right, kiss
you. Oh, good. All right, let's put that one to bed. Let's talk instead about how about Tom Brady's comeback? How about that? Another Atlanta debacle.
Yeah, this isn't Tom Brady's comeback, Joe. This is Atlanta choking again.
Okay, another Atlanta. Well, however you want to see it is fine. So Brady has 320 yards in the second half passing. Once again, just complete disintegration by the Atlanta Falcons. Russell Gage proved that, this guy is for real yet again. I mean, every week, whenever Julio especially is not playing, Russell Gage gets more opportunity and Russell Gage makes the most of it. Calvin Ridley is an unmitigated number one wide receiver. There's no way around that. And on the flip side of this one, Boggs, 2 touchdowns for Fournette, who looked good when he was giving opportunities. And this is like the ultimate week 15 troll job, right? You get Leonard Fournette getting 2 touchdowns, the Jets beating the Rams. I feel like week 15 is like a giant troll.
Yeah, it's so you can just not make that great decision about Ronald Jones next week. Should he be good to go?
Oh, God.
Are they going to have Fournette up? Are they going to, put him down again? Who knows? This is Bruce Arians in a nutshell. But I was not surprised. Like Atlanta has been playing their best ball, and 24-7 at halftime, I was like, we all know how this ends. This ends by Tampa Bay barely winning, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Brady put the boots to him. I still think it's hard for me to pick the best team in the NFC right now between the Saints and the Bucks and the Packers. They're all pretty good. So
they're all pretty good, but none of them great. Does that make sense?
Right.
I feel like all the teams in the AFC, for the most part,
Kansas City or Buffalo should roll over them, I think.
I mean, I was about to say, do you think there's like an NFC team that really can stand up to even like Tennessee right now? Like really?
Well, Tennessee is the worst because they could beat anybody at every given moment. Like defensively, they haven't been good this year, but they are the kind of team that could just go up there and put a 45 spot on you. Next thing you know, you're like, oh crap. And I'll tell you what, as much as the Colts have been lackluster at times, like they're also playing their best football too. I feel like in the last few weeks, T.Y. Hilton's healthy. Jonathan Taylor looks good. The defense is good. I'm looking at the AFC. Crap. Even the stupid Browns. I mean, like the Browns are a team right now. I mean, that I don't think
AFC
anybody can run away.
Way stronger than the NFC.
Feels way stronger to me. So
I mean, because one of the best teams in the NFC just lost to the Jets. The Rams were one of the best teams in the NFC. They were playing the best ball out of anyone up until losing to the stupid Rams. Or
Devin White had 3 sacks in this game. Another great performance for him. Last thing before we put a button on this. With Atlanta, Welsh, do you think in the offseason is a complete clearing house? Like, do you just tear the whole thing down?
Definitely not a complete tear down. This is the ultimate tough spot because if you look at them, like look at how better they played defensively. What are the common denominators that took them down? Matt Ryan's play was probably out the top.
No running game.
No.
Okay, now that's probably number 3. I would say Julio Jones, missing the games like he has is really hurt, but the running game as well. What I'm getting at is like, you can look at the pieces they have and they legitimately might sit in a room and go, guys, we are 2 cranks to the wheel here to being able to get this thing as an NFC, stalwart. And I think that's where they're going to lean. In my eyes, though, they should tear some of this down. You should try to get Julio out. You should try to get Matt Ryan
getting
out.
Julio out at the very least. I can understand the Matt Ryan one being dicey. Replacing a quarterback is tough. But I can understand the moving on from the Julio because I think you've shown you can lose games with Julio just as much as you can win them. That's not the difference maker for you. You need the cap space. Last question about this game before we move on. Todd Gurley, is he on a team opening day next year? Not in camp, but does he make a team next year?
Yeah. No, he's done.
I think he's on the team.
I've been the biggest Todd Gurley supporter out of I think the 3 of us here, and he looks done.
I think he's done too.
He looks like he is cooked.
He looks like he's cooked
3 times.
I will almost guarantee he's on a team. Will he be the starter? I don't think he will be a starter.
A good point.
He will be on a team.
I don't know. I kind of, if you're Todd Gurley, like, do you want to do that? Do you want to just sit behind? Like, I feel like
make money. Yeah.
Well, he's making money in commercials and other things, right? Look, it's not like he hasn't made money. It's just a matter of does the ego allow you to sit back and be a backup somewhere? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question is. All right, let's talk about.
Also, does the ego let him retire? I think it's more about that. So
that's also fair.
I think I am leaning more towards the Welsh, but I could tell you if I had a team, he would not be on it.
All right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, 32-29 against the New Orleans Saints. Now, look, the Saints, clearly Breeze was not good in the beginning of this game. Clearly there was a play in the end zone right at the half that could have put up an extra 6 there for the Saints. At the end of the day, like Kansas City's defense just has not been what it was last year. Like last year at this time, they were clicking, they were making turnovers. They haven't been good. They let everybody back into games, but it's the creativity of the offense, Bogman, that I feel like it doesn't matter. I mean, they just do things that nobody else can do and that nobody's prepared for or can stop. So at the end of the day, I don't even know if it matters if they can play enough defense. I think they still are the favorites to repeat basically for the championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Chiefs are definitely the best team in the NFL right now, and it's because they have Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he can literally do whatever he wants, it seems, and they still win. But they keep, I don't know, it feels like they were better last year than they are this year to me, because this year they're not blowing anybody out. They're not beating down the doors of anyone. They did win this game, and it was kind of convincing, but New Orleans almost made a nice valiant comeback here. The final was 32-29. So the defense keeps letting these teams back into games. I feel like the Chiefs are almost they might go into the Super Bowl and let someone come back on them this year. So I feel like the Chiefs are still the strongest team, but they don't feel as strong as they were last year to me.
That's true. Well, I think that's true. And I think it's because they're incomplete. The Hilaire injury is clearly going to be huge too, because you could definitely feel like they were nursing him a little bit to get through the long season, the playoffs. Like this is a team that's measuring self in playoffs. And if he's not going to see the field again the rest of the year.
That's what I say. Where are we at on the injury? Where is it?
Well, I mean, I don't care where you're at. Like,
he's going to miss the regular season.
He's going to miss the regular season. They're lucky if he's back for the playoffs, in my opinion, but you have the bye. So that's going to put you at like a combined 3 weeks. So maybe 4.
I just thought Kansas City has been resilient because
they're
a horrible bet this year. They have been awful. If you've been out there and trying to do anything with them gambling wise, they have been a disappointment probably more often than not. But I feel like they've got a ton of depth You've got a new year into Mecole Hardman. You got your wide receivers. You got Kelsey. You've got multiple backs. They're able to bring in Bell. The defense, it's had some question marks. That may have been a little bit of the hole, but I feel like they're more resilient than they were last year, and they're still 13-1. We're talking about them like they're a 10-6 team right now, or they're going to finish as a 10-6 team. They have the best record in the NFL. Right. I'm actually pretty poised for them. And I think this is a good shot for Allaire to get healthy, Bell to get some run. They just don't lose games. They don't.
I'll tell you this. I think, look, for them, if they get out of the AFC, they win the Super Bowl. That's my opinion. Like that, it's going to be harder for them to win the AFC than it is to win the Super Bowl because I think the NFC teams are going to not stack up. I mean, we see Tampa stack up against them. We see New Orleans stack up against them. Both of them came up short. And I feel
like Tennessee I think it's a nightmare for them.
Tennessee's a nightmare for themselves, though, too. That's the problem with Tennessee at times. Like, they're their own worst enemy in special teams. They're their own worst enemy on defense sometimes. But like, if you told me that Tennessee rattled off 3 wins and went to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't even look twice at you.
Yeah, I agree.
One last note here, too. Michael Thomas did not play in this game. Now officially, Mike Thomas of the Cincinnati Bengals has more touchdowns on the year than Michael Thomas. That is a depressing notion. In what is
like 14-6 as far as games played. I mean,
I don't care. I don't care. Well, here's all I'm going to say about this. This is the worst first round ever in the history of fantasy football. I hope we never see a first round like this again. Just awful from start to finish, pretty much. I mean, you had Derrick Henry, you had Dalvin Cook, Kamara, sorta, kind of most of the year, but everything else has been hot garbage. Maybe
is this going to be a one-off year, or is this going to be what we're seeing? And maybe depth is more important in fantasy football than it ever has been.
Here's the question that I would counter with, or is it maybe even something deeper, which is maybe reconfiguring our brains because of the way quarterbacks are running the football, the Josh Allens and Kyla Murrays and Lamar Jacksons, and the way they get fantasy points and the way they're protected. Maybe it starts to readjusting our brains, but we used to scoff at that. Well, you can't take a quarterback early in a single quarterback league. Well, maybe you should. Like, maybe that is the secret, getting the right quarterback and finding some value at running back and loading up on wide receivers and almost, kind of changing your whole dynamic a little bit of how you approach it. Now, look, there's lots of ways going forward next year to look at this board. Maybe it's just a one-off, but certainly with all the running back injuries and things like that, it's doesn't give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. That's for sure.
No, I mean, I think this also has been a year that's proved similar. You actually need to take kind of the same output that you did with a pandemic, where it's just like something I was preaching was just depth, just get mounds of players and assume you're going to lose guys. One of the worst situations, something I was preparing for, which we did on the In This League Fantasy Football podcast, was what happens if you make a heavy commitment to a singular player and then COVID hits. And then look, Lamar Jackson was proof, that ended up happening. Right. Plus he was just kind of garbage.
And imagine, Welsh, how many teams ended up losing out on tiebreakers because of losing Lamar Jackson during that period. And now they're sitting and watching Lamar Jackson run amok the last 2 weeks in the playoffs.
Oh,
how frustrating is that?
It set me back in a couple spots. So as much as I'm with the idea, and I've always kind of been someone that's not been afraid where everyone's preaching last round quarterback, I'll still get in and just get the best player at value. I think this more proved to me from this year that I don't care if I'm even drafting to my bench in a critical spot. I want to have running backs and wideouts. And if you do it right, you can make the quarterbacks look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to win people championships, but you got to be able to be proper on it with the streaming and be really, really efficient with your matchups. And like I said, if you do it right. What was my joke last night on ITL Football Bogs? If you had gotten Ryan Tannehill and who the hell was it? Whatever there was another quarterback. If you had just found the proper matchups between the two, Kirk Cousins. Yeah. If you would have got Kirk Cousins and Ryan Tannehill as your two quarterbacks and just been able to get the right matchups, you probably would have had a top 4 overall quarterback return if you could do it properly, but you can't do that with a running back.
It almost feels like wide receivers too are like homers in baseball where you have to keep pace, because you're going to lose out on a run. Seems like it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you almost have to take some good wideouts in between. You almost can't go running back anymore.
All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, I want to talk more about two of those young quarterbacks. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray, which was one of the more entertaining games on the slate. So we're going to hit a break. We come back, more Black Book right here on the Brawl Network right after this. All right, fantasy playoffs are here, and it's been a long year, so due to quarantine, obviously. So maybe if your undercarriage is starting to look a little bit like, I don't know, Troy Polamalu on a bad day, well, guess what? Maybe it's time for a little bit of Manscaped. That's right. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BRAWL at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping. Manscaped.com. Again, the word is BRAWL. It's very easy because we're on the Brawl Network, and it's time to go in there and take that Troy Polamalu down to maybe a nice Joe Pisapia look. That's what you're going to look there. So go out of manscaped.com right now and, treat yourself for the holidays. So, boys, back to black here. And look, Kyla Murray looked healthier last week, certainly looked healthy this week. Just absolute stunner of a game for him. First rushing touchdown in 3 games, his 11th on the year, throwing for 400 yards. And Deandre Hopkins, who I am so proud of us because we faded the noise so bad on this program and in the Black Book about DeAndre Hopkins and, he got traded from the Texans, no Deshaun Watson at all. He's a wide receiver too, and all the nonsense you heard about DeAndre Hopkins. What a load of hot garbage all that was, man. That was terrible, lazy ass fantasy. This week with this,
that was
big
one of our
game
loudest, by the way. That was what I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off, Joe. I just like to your point, like if there's 2 things that, and I think you were with us on the second one too. The 2 of the things I know I was the loudest about, and I know Bogman was there, and I'm pretty sure you too, was 1, fading DeAndre Hopkins is asinine, and 2 was taking Christian Allaire Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 6 or 7 was nonsense. And both of those, the loudest things we were with kind of paid off.
They absolutely did.
And he's Allaire, by the way.
He's a creative player in Madden. So
I thought he worked for Joel Osteen in that church, Christian. Anyway, we've got DeAndre Hopkins is the first guy, by the way, in NFL history to have 100 receptions and 1,000-yard season with 2 different franchises. How about that? That's kind of a cool stat, right?
Wow. That is pretty cool.
I mean, this is a guy that just continues to get the job done. Let's talk about
the Cardinals are going to have to give Bill O'Brien the key to the city when
a statue at the very least. But Hurts, I know it was imperfect, and I know, you start to look at, some of the missed throws and stuff, but taking shots late in the game, you can kind of chalk it up to that a little bit. But Hurts, this is 2 weeks in a row here, some pretty staggering, numbers. I mean, he has got, let me put this, 37 points. That is more than any Carson Wentz game ever in Carson Wentz's career. Carson Wentz has never had a 30-point game. So, I mean, I know we're, prisoners of the moment here to a certain extent, but it's really tough to see them going back to Wentz ever again, right? I mean, they're just going to find a way to move on, right?
No, there's no chance. I mean, Jalen Hurts, 4 touchdowns in this game at this critical point. The Cardinals, I mean, I felt success was coming in for Jalen Hurts. That's why I was team QB1 on Hurts before even ranks were released coming into week 15. But this is the guy. And you saw little glimpses of it throughout the season when they would sprinkle him in. He'd come in, he'd complete a pass, he would run. He just, and this is my big takeaway, Joe, is he changed the offense like when
he changed the energy,
and he changes the defensive coverage because the defense has to mark for him so much different. So when you get this guy, he was 24 of 44 in this game, not great. There's a lot of incomplete passes there, but when you start to get him, and don't let him get tentative like Lamar Jackson got a lot this year, get him in the right spots, let him learn the offense better, let him be able to signify coverages better. That guy's legs and the playmaking ability he has, he's going to be on par with Kyla Murray. I think it's hard to deny at this point. Carson Wentz is the only way he's a starter again is if Jalen Hurts' leg is bending the other direction.
I mean, look, this is easy. He comes in and he just gives them a different energy and feel. Like you said, the defense gets to rest a little bit more because they actually have the ball. He can move around. He makes Miles Sanders better. It's just no question. I don't necessarily blame Carson Wentz for this. I still think it's on Peterson. I still think Carson Wentz can be a good quarterback, but they were doing nothing for him. They're doing constant 3-step drops where the offensive line could not protect him. He started to get happy feet, which is not a surprise, and they had to go the other way. And it's not a shock that a running quarterback looks and feels better in this system because he is better. Carson Wentz was just getting pummeled back there, so it made no sense to keep going with him.
Let's say Jalen Hurts has got that big play energy. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Big play energy.
Well, and just look at the QB1s right now. You got Lamar, you got Josh Allen, you've got Kyla Murray. Okay.
This is what they're doing in college too. Is they're
Right.
they're
Well, when Trevor Lawrence
So
shows
we're
up
gonna
next year,
see
Trevor
it.
Lawrence runs a little bit.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, is a good pocket passer, but he can get out there in space. Well, he's not the same athlete as the other guys, but
Yeah, but Joe Burrow, and I pointed this out in the preseason too. He didn't do much of it this year, and after the knee injury, I don't know if he's going to keep doing it. But they count sacks as rushing yards for the quarterbacks in college. So if you took away his sack numbers, he would have had 600 rushing yards in college his final year. So the guy can run a little bit too. So we're going to see more and more of this, and more quarterbacks are going to be going to it because it's the way that's happening in college football.
But Boggs, that changes everything. Like that changes how if your expectation was always like a guy, your quarterback throws for 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, right? Like that's a baseline quarterback, something like that. And now you're adding in another 5 points just for rushing yards every week. I mean, that's a game changer.
Touchdowns. I mean,
and a possible rushing touchdown. All of a sudden, that becomes an 11-point difference, and that is a game changer. And I wrote about it this year in the Black Book, and it was like, hey, it's time to start considering. And I didn't even mention Deshaun Watson. Like, you could just start rattling and realize how different it is. So the guys of quarterback past, bring it back to the Christmas theme again. The Bradys and the Drew Breeses of the world. These guys are the dinosaurs now, and it's coming back. If you want to keep pace in fantasy, you got to have one of these mobile quarterbacks now. Otherwise, you're just going to be behind. Let's talk about
Carson Wentz is looking at Mike Lennon and he sees the ghost of Christmas future.
I don't know. I think he sees the turkey that got ruined.
I saw the ghost of Christmas future when I saw Mall Santa the other day, so I didn't like that.
All right, let's talk about Seattle and Washington. Seattle gets the W here. Carlos Dunlap continues to play well. I know, Boggs, you and I were talking about him last week. D-line is still strong. When Haskins has to throw the ball 50 times, I don't care if it's Seattle, you're just probably not going to win the football game. But McKissick, another good game. Not a surprising fade. On Sunday morning on the TV, we're talking about fading away from Seattle because of that front and just Wilson not having enough time to really do the things he'd want to do in the offense. And that's basically what it was. But Seattle was able to hang on. Welsh, Seattle and LA next week lock up. So you got the Rams and Seahawks, and then the Rams play the Cardinals. These are the last 2 weeks of the season. Tell me, who wins those games? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Well, I think Seattle wins out. I actually think Seattle wins out. I know they've been playing kind of rough, and from a fantasy perspective, I really only feel good. I mean, I don't even know if I feel fantastic. We were talking about this, like Jalen Ramsey shut DK Metcalf down, but like you're going to go Metcalf Lockett next week. I'm a little bit worried about that running game and how the book has been kind of out on Russell Wilson, but the Rams play up and down to competition. I think Russell Wilson is going to get back on track for these final 2 weeks, and the passing is going to be on another level, and they can stop moving away from trying to push Chris Carson down our throat. I think they're just going to get that ball slinging out there. I mean, 27 pass attempts. That's on the low end of what Russell Wilson does on the year. And even though, they were on him, Washington was, he didn't register a sack, so 27 pass attempts, moving around, didn't register a sack. I think he's going to fare a little bit better against the division teams. He plays better divisionally. So Rams and Cardinals, it's a really good time for Russell Wilson, I think.
All right, let's move on here. Cleveland and the Giants. Baker Mayfield continues to look confident. He's up to now 25 touchdowns and 8 picks on the year. Wow. This was a big win for them. I know, it's the Giants and no Daniel Jones, but still, you go on the road, Sunday Night Football game, go get that W. I'm going to give them some respect here. And look, I mean, I know that the Giants' offense is non-existent right now, pretty much, and it's going in the wrong direction for them, but still a good win for Cleveland. Any takeaways from this game for you, Boggs?
I mean, I got to watch it because NBC and DirecTV figured stuff out. So I was excited to watch it. But look, over the last 4 weeks specifically, Baker Mayfield has 10 touchdowns and 1 pick. So most of his damage has been done. And who's to say? We've seen quarterbacks peak. We saw Nick Foles do it. We saw Joe Flacco do it. So we've seen it multiple times where a quarterback that is not known to be, he's not in the Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen MVP candidate type of area, go burn through the playoffs and play well. Who's to say that Baker isn't doing that right now? So this could be the peak for Cleveland right here. And I think it probably is. I don't know that they'll do a ton of damage in the playoffs, but they're a dangerous team, and I hate to give Baker any credit, but you have to give him when he's doing it. So
yeah, look, they're playing confident. We talked about it last week. That confidence grows every week. And I don't know why. Kevin Stefanski, I think, should be right in that conversation for Coach of the Year, because coming into that situation and getting this team to where they are right now and looking the way they are, and I think it's more difficult in certain cultures and certain organizations to turn them around. It's got to be harder to turn around the Browns than a lot of other teams. I'm
Also,
sorry.
by the way,
culture of losing.
Look at the money that was attached to Odell and Austin Hooper alone and how ineffective they've been all year. They've done it with essentially no top tight end.
They've been better since Odell. Since Odell went out, they played their best football.
And both of their top receivers. I mean, Landry was fine in this game, 7 for 61 in a score, but he's been Rashard Higgins has been kind of the top dog. They've done it behind Baker, which that alone probably should put you in top 5. If you win games with Baker Mayfield, that should put you at top. And the 2 running backs. I think and the defense is nothing, it should be something to fear across the board. So yeah, I think the Browns I think they might be one of the most surprising stories of the season, actually.
I definitely think they are. And it's a good one too. And, they do have that 2-headed monster. They play defense. They have a 2-headed monster at running back. They have a quarterback who's, feeling himself right now. And that makes it dangerous. They're a very dangerous team. I can't wait to see week 17, man. That's what I want to see. I want to see something to play for with them and the Steelers. So we'll see if I get my my wish. New England at Miami. I have a wish from this game, which is that I never would see it. And another wish is that Cam Newton is no longer a quarterback for the New England Patriots. I would very much like that not to be the case either.
I think you're going to get one of those wishes for.
Yeah, I think I am too. Look, Miami.
Both.
Yeah, Miami has 20 straight games with a turnover. That's leading the NFL right now. Xavier Howard probably in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Salvin Ahmed has his first 100-yard game as a first 100-yard game by a Dolphin since 2018. Kalen Ballage was the last guy to have one. Wow. So that's kind of stunning. Look, Miami at the end of this
80-yard touchdown run.
Probably. I mean, here's the thing. Like, this is an ugly game. Gilmore got hurt. It's just like, the Pats just is like, you have Brady leading a comeback against the Falcons and you have the Patriots getting eliminated for the year by the Dolphins. That kind of tells you, where things are at. But what's more frustrating is that they were competitive in some of these games, but not competitive enough to be a playoff contender. And unfortunately too competitive to be somebody who's picking at the top of the draft.
Yeah, both these teams are weirdly constructed. I told Bogman one of the things that stood out to me over anything was watching Red Zone, and Siciliano just he could not help himself but to be like, Cam Newton cannot throw, and also he doesn't look comfortable throwing. He said it's hard to watch Cam Newton throw the football, and I was like, Siciliano nailed it. It's 100% right. Cam looks so off from what we've known him to be. I don't know what it is. He literally, not only does he not look good, but Siciliano's right. He doesn't look comfortable throwing the ball. There's a difference between not looking good when you throw and not looking comfortable throwing the ball. And that's where Cam is right now. And I don't know what happened.
You know what? To a certain extent, that's what Brady was last year too. He looked the same. So it's an indictment across the board. It's an indictment on Cam Newton, but it's also an indictment on what they have failed at, which is they've whiffed on N'Keal Harry. To a certain extent, they whiffed on Sony Michel. They've spent first-round draft picks on players that were supposed to be, their future wide receiver, future running backs, and they have not been. So that's what, it's hard to look good when you don't have, it's easy to look good when you have weapons. It's hard to look good when you don't. Brady was able to overcome that for most of his career, but still, Boggs.
Well,
come on. So good.
It's a good point. This is something Brady almost always has overcome. And also just the fact that they've done such a bad job drafting. This is a team that, took Troy Brown in the 6th round. And they were always kind of, they added Mike Vrabel for nothing off the scrap heap from Pittsburgh. Wasn't a huge contract.
Welker was a guy they added who was cut by the Dolphins.
Exactly.
Their talent evaluation has always been top notch, and it has not been the last 5 years.
The last 5 years, it's been bad, and I think that's why Brady wanted out. Brady wanted out because he knew he could see the writing on the wall. I can't win with these guys, so why am I still here? I want to keep playing, but I don't want to keep playing with these guys. Bill's not going to change it, so I got to get out. So I'm right there with you, man. It's bad in New England right now. They might have a rough run for a while, especially if Belichick is old. It's going to be time for him to hang him up pretty soon here. And he could do TV, he could do whatever he wants after that. But
I mean, you say that, but look at Arians. I mean, Arians has a new shot of life, and he's not a spring chicken, and
Arians looks like he's going to die every Sunday. His face gets so red. I honestly, I'm like, is this guy okay? Like, and he's had, I mean, Bruce Arians had a bunch of stuff in the past as far as his health goes.
He's had health issues. Yeah.
I'm legit worried about him. Pete Carroll is the oldest coach, looks fine. I think he had like a hip replacement, was out there with a cane.
Look, I think it's hubris. This is what it is. It's not age, it's hubris. When you've won so much, you've had so much success, eventually you forget that it took kind of a village to get this done. The Piolis of the world, the Dimitrovs of the world, those guys aren't there anymore. And they were a huge part of that conversation about how these teams were assembled and put together. And then they all got their own jobs other places, and they all ultimately had success. It's time to bring in somebody else into this. It can't just be him, Bill at the top, as great as he is, and he's probably the greatest to ever do it. There probably needs to be a different brain trust now that's involved, and hopefully the ownership will go ahead and make that choice.
I think into the mix. You also have to forget, don't forget that losing is similar to being the president. You know how aged people look. Remember Obama, the first 4 years? That's what losing does in the NFL. You remember Bill Belichick was in his own tier. Like, there's going to be his own wing in the NFL Hall of Fame for him as a coach, but now he looks so human, and losing does that. Losing is the aging process of the NFL that we think, oh, he's done, he can't do it anymore. He needs a new vibe. He needs some new people in there. He needs some new schemes.
Andy Milonakis lost a lot recently. He went from looking real young to real old, right, guys?
Full circle from an earlier conversation before the show started. That's the Black Book Unearthed. That's the second podcast. It's a separate one. It's the pre-show part. Yeah, it's the dark show. All right, let's try to sneak in one more game here. Let's talk about San Francisco and Dallas, because we have to. No Ezekiel Elliott. That was kind of a shocker. And again, the first round that just keeps on kicking you in the nuts for 15 straight weeks. It's like, oh yeah, you want Ezekiel Elliott? How about this? How about I kick you right in the nuts here? You can't even play him. How about that?
The guy's going to get my Manscaped 3.0 and just shave him down so I can get kicked in the nuts a little bit harder.
Oh my God, dude, let me tell you. I mean, he hasn't had a rushing touchdown since Dak Prescott got hurt. Has not had a rushing touchdown since Dak's injury. That is stunning.
You know who has a rushing touchdown? You know who has a rushing touchdown since Dak got hurt? Wayne Gallman has. Wayne Gallman.
But do you remember when Tony Dungy on Sunday Night Football after the Dak injury was like, oh, I think this could be the best thing in the world for Ezekiel Elliott's value. And I'm like, what are you, drunk? What are you, crazy? How can you say that? How can you say it's good for anyone's value to lose a franchise quarterback in your offense? It's nuts, Tony.
I'm surprised that Tony Dungy had a really horrible take on something.
I'm not.
Those NBC guys are rough. Like, I do not like watching them. I'm okay with Collinsworth and Al Michaels, but I don't like Tirico. I don't like Liam, whatever.
Well, Sims is the only. I'm not a Sims is. If his dad wasn't Phil, I don't know what he would be doing. But dude,
nothing. Yeah, he'd be bagging groceries.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't stand those guys. But
and I don't usually do that. I usually like everybody except Tony Romo because he doesn't use real words. Everybody else I like.
I'm surprised. I was with you, Joe, and maybe your tune has changed on this, but Mike McCarthy got the vote of confidence from the Cowboys, and I was surprised. Yeah, the dreaded vote of confidence. But I was surprised that not only did they give him that boost, but he seems to have these guys playing better in the second half of the season. So I think they like him. Maybe they just like him because he's not Jason Garrett right now. But he did the watermelon, the Gallagher bit, and that worked. So whatever's going on with McCarthy, of course, you can wash this year away for him because Dak got hurt. And I think that's what they're going to end up doing. But he's going to stick. They're not going to replace him in the offseason.
Oh, God. Well, look, in a season where there haven't been a lot of great pickups, I think Brandon Ayuk has been that Welsh. I mean, he has had such a great month and change here in full point PPR. The guy's been an absolute monster. And going forward into next year, too, I will be spending draft capital. I don't care who the quarterback is on Ayuk because he fits this team so well. This is like the opposite of the Patriots conversation where they're drafting guys that are just tailor-made for them. And Debo was too, but I got to be honest, like I can't keep messing around with Debo when he's not on the field. This is 2 years in a row. It's not the way to start off a career. And next thing you know, Ayuk's just going to pass him for good.
Yeah, I mean, it's be a little rude awakening next year, though, when, Kittle is back and you do have Debo, because Debo is someone the 49ers purposely want the ball in his hands. So if he's not there, okay, there's that. If he's there, he's going to get end rounds. He's going to get targets because he's their yak guy. He's a power guy. Kittle is going to dominate. What Ayuk does, though, I think he's special. And I said this on ITL that I saw someone post that if Ayuk, it might have been Adam Rank, if Ayuk had been healthy and there the whole season and just starting, he'd be in the same conversation as Justin Jefferson, which I agree with. I think he's in that same scope. He makes plays. He's actually running routes solid. He doesn't look raw whatsoever. He is a big-time playmaker, and he will get the ball. I just don't know I don't think the volume will continue. So you've got to put trust in the 5 or 6 targets he has a game are going to play. But I love the guy. It's just the Niners have weapons. The problem is, A, they don't have a good quarterback, and B, they don't have an offensive scheme that will allow them to stretch the ball out more. Kyle Shanahan is content on 3 running backs getting 35 to 40 carries every damn game, and it's not good.
They also don't have a quarterback who could throw the ball deep either.
Of course, that's the first thing I said. They don't have a stupid quarterback. If they had a good quarterback and they changed the scheme out, you have amazing patch catcher. Kendrick Bourne is solid.
Or Jimmy Garoppolo.
Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Easy.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's
Colt
what
McCoy. Colt McCoy, I'd rather have.
I love Colt McCoy, but I'm not even going to go with you on that.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to give Welsh a minute to cool down here because the Colt McCoy's got him all fired up. We come back. We're going to talk about the Titans and the Bears, 2 teams that are kind of finishing strong, but probably only one's going to make the playoffs. You're listening to The Black Book. We'll be right back after this. Oh, and if you're watching on YouTube, you just got the autographed Colt McCoy in the Bogman.
I said that you would rather have that guy, Vince Young.
Oh, is that Vince Young? I couldn't even tell. You were just holding it up. It was all shiny.
Vince Young right now might be he might be big enough to play O-line though.
Maybe. It was the light was shining on it, by the way, like that time on the podcast a couple weeks ago when the light was shining on my face out of nowhere. I think that's what it was. But anyway, more Black Book right after this. All right, there's still a few weeks left in the NFL season. That means there's still plenty of time to play some DraftKings. So thanks to our partnership here at Brawl Network with DraftKings, all new players get free entry with their first deposit into the $1 Million Contest. Here's what you do. You create a DraftKings DFS account, make a deposit. DraftKings will credit your account with a free entry into a contest, draft your lineup, and go for the $1 Million top prize. All you have to do is go to dkng.co/brawlpod. That's dkng.co/brawlpod. And act quick because we've only got a couple weeks left here to win you $1 million. So minimum $5 deposit is required, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Welcome back, everybody, to the Black Book. And let's talk about Derrick Henry, because everybody knows I like to. I tried to debunk the myth that Tannehill can't be good when Derrick Henry has a good game. And I keep going back to game logs and pointing it out to people and saying, no, it is very possible. Stop overreacting to things. And here you go. Ryan Tannehill, fantasy superstar yesterday. Derrick Henry still had 150 rushing yards. He is now getting closer and closer, by the way, to that 2K. And he becomes the 4th player in NFL history to have back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons with 15 touchdowns. That is an impressive 2-year run, to say the least. Do you want to hear the names in that company?
Yeah, let's hear them.
Terrell Davis, Sean Alexander, who won an MVP, I believe, if memory serves, and Larry Johnson, crazy tinfoil hat Larry Johnson, who's out there now talking about
Larry is wild.
Larry is wild out there. Wild. So hopefully Derrick Henry won't have a podcast when his career is over. But look, I mean, this was a thrashing here, Tennessee of Detroit, as it should have been. Boggs, anything to add in this game here, what you saw out of Tennessee as they are, trying to make that push here to improve their seeding?
Yeah, I mean, I think Corey Davis has vexed me all year because it's like
you sound like the king of France. I'm vexed by you.
As soon as I don't want, I say he's terrible again. He scores, a touchdown, and then when he is great, I don't think he's going to be good. I don't know what to do with Corey Davis. He has turned into, he has the body of a possession receiver.
Let me give you some advice, Bogman. 60 catches, 945 yards, and 5 touchdowns on the season. I think you know what to do with Corey Davis.
Yeah, you draft him as a wide receiver 3 or low end 2, depending on the depth, somewhere around there. It's pretty good.
You see the light is coming back for Joe too in this part right here.
It's this time of day. This is the shortest day of the year, I believe.
I think you're just turning into David Bowie.
I kind of like it too because it kind of matches the Brawl Network logo. You know, it's like that slash.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It's like a slash across my face at the same time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Corey Davis is the most annoying thing about. I mean, look, you can just start AJ Brown. He may not be consistent enough to be a wide receiver 1 moving forward. He's probably a high-end wide receiver 2, but he's still really great. Derrick Henry is obviously an RB1. Ryan Tannehill is on that QB 1-2 borderline most weeks. Like the Welsh said, you have him and Kirk Cousins, you flip them, you're going to be good. Corey Davis is the most confusing to me. So I loved him coming out of Western Michigan. He did nothing. Obviously, Marcus Mariota was a huge part of that, but he also did nothing last year with ample opportunity. And now all of a sudden this year, maybe he's all the way back healthy. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know what it is, but he has good games. He has bad games. He's super annoying. I hate him. Welsh.
I mean, I don't hate him. I've kind of been on the train of like he's worthwhile to get out there. But like I said, 60 catches, 945. He's going to go over 1,000 yards. He's
Will Fuller or Corey Davis next year.
Fuller. I mean, the injury stuff with Fuller. Well, I guess this time it was a suspension.
You know what I'd love to do? I'd love to take both of them and just hope that one of them can play each week.
That's your, that's your Cousins and Tannehill lineup is Davis and Fuller.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, at the end of the day, Corey Davis' success is also tied to back where you were saying the maturation of Ryan Tannehill. He came off slow. AJ Brown had a really slow start to the year.
Tannehill was good last year too, and Corey Davis was nothing. That's the most frustrating part about
That's what I'm saying. That's the maturation of Ryan Tannehill. It was all AJ Brown with big plays last year, and this year the ball got spread around more while Derrick Henry was rushing the ball. Derrick Henry also completely changes the scope of how that offense can go, and that's why I keep talking about them being so stupidly dangerous. Tannehill had 5 touchdowns in this game, and Derrick Henry still had almost $150 in a score himself. This offense is dangerous, and it's because they have 2 spread out wide receivers, the best running back in the NFL currently, and they have a serviceable tight end with Ryan Tannehill. It's an offense that a lot of teams are going to have a hard time stopping.
They have nothing on defense. That's the problem. Like they have to outscore people because it was ever since Clowney went down, they put no pressure on the quarterback. I mean, a busted Matt Stafford still put up 25 points on them.
And I have to imagine right now, if Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold has a vision board in their bedroom, it's just pictures of Ryan Tannehill. That's all it is. It's pictures of Ryan
has a vision board. He's no longer.
I would love to see Joe's vision board. I would love to see that.
It's all pictures of Jason Statham and Bruce Willis, all my bald icons. That's what it is.
No Troy Polamalu's on that one.
No, but Derrick Henry's probably on there. God, I just love Derrick Henry so much. I'm so happy to see him just dominating again because people just coming into this year, the guy led the league in rushing and still got 0 respect. And I just don't understand like what people are watching.
Massive guys like that, they break down and burn out so fast. Like as soon as he loses a step, he'll be nothing. And that sucks.
Okay, well, when does that happen though? Does it happen next year? Does it happen 3 years from now?
I don't see that's the problem. Who knows?
Here's the thing. He wasn't used so much early on that I feel like he's got at least 1 more year of this in him.
Yeah, they were stupidly, giving half of his carries to
Deion Lewis. Yeah, like it's just nutso, man. Like, I mean, I'm also thinking we're seeing a different. Here's the difference too, Boggs, is that the guys, the linemen and everybody now on the defensive side, everybody's faster. But they're not allowed to do the things that they used to do. Part of the reason some of those guys broke down is because of the cheap shots and late hits and things that, it was just such a rougher game 10 years ago than it is now. Not that it's not rough. It absolutely is. But man, like it is not the same game. It almost feels like Derrick Henry's the guy putting the abuse on people, kind of like the way Marshawn Lynch used to. He was like, you were more afraid of Marshawn Lynch hitting that guy than somebody hitting Marshawn Lynch. It feels more like that. That's where
I disagree that it's less brutal. I think you have less of that, after the whistle stuff, but bigger, faster, stronger every year.
It's true.
And so the hits are more brutal. every single year. That's why we have so many injuries now. We just
Fair.
reached the limit of how big these guys can get, how fast they can get without really hurting each other on the field. We're right there. So,
Earl Campbell had a good run. I'm trying to remember how many years Earl Campbell had, because that was, I think, the like I'm thinking of bigger running backs who, and again,
Bettis went from being a great running back that just, and remember him running over Urlacher. He had all
here's
kinds
a fun exercise. I got it up here. Ready? So, Earl Campbell, 1450. This is the amount of yards rookie season. This is at 78. We're starting 1697, 1934, 1376. Then he had an injury at 27. Then he bounced back for 1300, and then he was never the same guy after that.
What about Dickerson? I mean, Dickerson wasn't like physically like a Jerome Bettis or something like that, but he was like a tall, I want to say he was like 162, big, upright.
Bettis had 1429, 1025. Then he was hurt. Then 1431, 1665, 1185, 1091, 1341, 1072. So he had a good 8-year run there. And who was the other guy? Dickerson.
Give me Eric Dickerson.
His workload was insane. Like that was a workload like no human being I feel like should have had. Like he had.
Oh, and he was also upright. He was like that Eddie George, like upright running back too.
Okay, here you go. 390 rushes in his rookie year.
Oh my God.
Wait, that's not even the high water mark. Okay. I just remember Dickerson had a ridiculous thing.
He had like 412 or something one year.
390 for 1808, 379 for 2105, then 292 for 1234, which I think that was the strike. No, it's not the strike year. 85, he must have missed 2 games just because of injury. Then in 86, 404 rushes for 1821. Wow. And by the way, that year he also had 26 receptions too. Just so he still touched the ball more than that. And then after that, you get the 283 for 1288, 388 for 1659, 314 for 1311. So you don't see that kind of volume. So the difference is, I feel like the volume of these guys passed.
Well, Jamal Anderson was a big back. Wasn't tall like Henry, but he was thick. Like Bet. So, those guys just fall off. And I think that's why people are afraid to.
I think next year we've got at least one good solid Derrick Henry year left.
Yeah. I think he's probably got a couple more years left, and he's putting up these great seasons back to back. Like you said, beginning of his career wasn't nearly as brutal. It's not like 390 carries your rookie year or anything. So, he's going to last a while. Derrick Henry is going to be great for a long time.
All right. I think we got one more here. Chicago, Minnesota. How about those Bears? David Montgomery, 550 yards in his last 4 games. He's been an RB1 for a month. Trubisky playing better. I think this is the job that got saved. I said it last week, and I feel even more confident going to win on the road against Minnesota. I don't think Matt Nagy's going anywhere. I know Robinson is going to be a free agent, but I think Mooney's also showed a lot this year. I think he's a fascinating guy going into 2021. If you can bring Robinson back, get some offensive line help, maybe the Bears can get right back in this, boys. What do you think, Welsh?
I think so. Bogman talked about the same thing with Trubisky and how the Bears have gone. I think David Montgomery, he has been the linchpin. His last 4 games, what was I doing the math on, Boggs? I think he's had 5 of his 6 rushing touchdowns have been in the last 4 games. He's had just a little over 400 of his total rushing yards in the last 4 games. He has been an awesome transformation. And it's been not just him as a player, it's been the offense knowing how to use him. Trubisky has been better and even moving it up. The Bears, they're a little bit of a problem. I still think they're not, remotely as good as like we want them to be, but they are a problem right now. And I think it's built around David Montgomery.
Yeah. This team it's exactly what you said, Joe. And I said this yesterday. Nagy has saved his job. Trubisky is going to be the quarterback next year. So I think that this end of the season is going to save Matt Nagy. It's going to upset a lot of Bears fans. I'd be curious to know. I think the Jets fans are still going to win, but who's more upset that the Bears win games late, probably still miss the playoffs, and it's going to be, it's going to be Nagy and Trubisky back again, or Jets fans more upset?
Jet fans.
Trevor Lawrence.
Hands down Jets.
Because the Bear fan had expectations for this year, and the Bear fan a couple years ago was in the playoffs, and the Bears fan knows that they moved heaven and earth to get Trubisky, and if Trubisky doesn't work, they know the next decade's going to suck. Whereas you have in your hand the game-changing guy if you're the Jets. And it's just, and look, you're not going to tell a team not to win. It's just hilarious to me that the Rams are the ones that crap the bed. In this Minnesota game too, another 100-yard game for Justin Jefferson. He's been awesome. And I was wrong. We do have one other game here too. I forgot because it was so one-sided. Baltimore. Look, I mean, Des Bryant catches his first touchdown in 3 years. Lamar Jackson
dangerous right now. That's what I want to know. Because Baltimore rolled right over Jacksonville. Jacksonville's terrible. They've given up.
Baltimore's playing their best football right now.
That's what I was going to say. Baltimore 100%. Or Cleveland? Who's more dangerous? We just saw that game on Monday Night Football, and Baltimore won.
Baltimore because of Harbaugh at the end of the day. I have a massive amount of respect for him as a head coach. I just think he doesn't get enough publicity, I think, because how good that team has been for so long. And that's a tough thing to do. And look, they went through a period there with Flacco, and they came out the other end with Lamar. And I think it's stunning. And Lamar is the first quarterback ever to have back-to-back 800-yard rushing seasons. He just put that in the books, which, by the way, with all these quarterbacks we just talked about, how long is that record going to last? Like a year? Like it's not even going to be close. I think Baltimore
game too.
Let me tell you, man, I think Baltimore right now, incredibly dangerous, playing their best football, and the opposite of where they were last year at this time. They were the go-to. I think it's better. This is like a wrestling metaphor. I think it's better if they're chasing than if they're the champ. I think they play better in that mode. That's just my take. Welsh, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of want to say the Browns, and this is the only reason, is because of the pieces that the Browns have around. Like Baltimore doesn't have the same type of running game. J.K. Dobbins is moving up, but Hunt and Chubb do something completely different to that offense. Where Higgins has stepped up. I mean, people stepped up. You still got Landry, and I'm going to take the Cleveland defense over Baltimore's defense right now. On the Baltimore side, I'm so worried about how Andrews has gotten better the last 3 or 4 weeks, but how just disappearing act Marquise Brown and Andrews can do. And Lamar has shown some really bad runs through this year. But the difference maker in my eyes is Lamar Jackson over Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield can turn into a complete pumpkin at any moment, regardless of those pieces. Lamar Jackson, differently in my mind, can put the entire team on his back when nothing else is working.
And the Ravens
team on his back, though.
Yeah. Ravens defense and Ravens kicker too. Like, I don't know. There's little intangibles there on the Ravens. I just think, and look, that's why the AFC playoffs are so good right now. I mean, think about all these teams we're so excited about watching, and they're all in the AFC. And then the NFC is like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. You got Rodgers and those guys at the top, basically. And, it's Brady and Breeze. It's like all the old farts. It's like the senior league against like the exciting football league. It's hilarious. It's like the 50 and over are going to play the kids. And, that usually doesn't work out well. All right, 2-minute drill starts right now. Somebody made the argument, and I think it's interesting, so I thought I'd bring it here, that maybe we should avoid all this nonsense about tanking for the number 1 overall pick. And maybe the NFL should go to a lottery system the way the NBA does. Do you think this has any merit? No. Why?
I hate lotteries.
Because I hate the lottery system. I don't like the lottery system. I think it's ridiculous. And it opens yourself up to way more criticism and way more controversy.
Conspiracy theory too.
Yeah. That's really it. Is the conspiracy theory. It's the frozen envelope, all of that stuff. I don't like the lottery system. I think what they're doing right now is fine. They should keep it that way.
I hate lotteries with a passion. We actually had this thing in one of our fantasy leagues. We do it in this league where one of our guys said, "Hey, I want to present a lottery for the tanking teams, blah, blah, blah. What do you think?" And I was just like, listen, I think it is literally the stupidest idea and the dumbest thing on the planet, but there's a difference. I'm into fantasy being fun. So if the majority wants it, okay, fine. I do not back it, and I think it is many other words, and I think it's super stupid. And you know what? People wanted it in fantasy because they felt it helped the odds of teams not tanking, and it went for. Okay, I think in fantasy it's stupid, and I think it's as stupid in real life. The idea of a bunch of dumb ping pong balls or whatever being up there and randomly picking a person, I hate it. It's dumb. Figure out a different system in your league to either penalize teams if you think it's going. I don't know what to do. Or guess what? Just do what sports have always done and let them deal with it. You pick on teams like look at the 2 teams that are fighting. It's not like the Patriots tanked out to get the first pick. It's the Jets and the Jaguars. You think Trevor Lawrence is going to turn them around in 2 years? No, absolutely not.
I do.
Okay.
Do you think they're going to? I think he can.
Okay. Adam Gase is the quarterback in New York. I win. Mic drop. In Jacksonville, I mean, I guess I don't have an argument for Jacksonville. They could fix that up a little bit, but still, these are the garbage teams. There's a reason the garbage is at the bottom. Let them do what they can to the top. Don't screw them out.
When Manning came in, weren't the Colts 2-14 that first year?
Yeah, it took a couple years.
Yeah, he set the record for picks by
the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals.
Yeah,
they got Burrow. They're still not good.
Well, they did get hurt, but they were more fun to watch. That's for sure. All right, that'll do it for us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Network Brawl and follow us individually at Joe Pizapia 17, at Bogman Sports, at Is It the Welsh, and go check these boys out on In This League and join the ITL Army on Patreon. Also, if you're playing fantasy baseball this year, the new Baseball Black Book is available on Amazon. Get your copy today and get your baseball on. All right, that'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Bogman and Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next